Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm joined by Matt Giggs, estate agency superstar from Cambridgeshire. Matt, talk to me about how COVID affected your estate agency for the better. Talk to me.
Well, it gave us the first chance. Well, 8 years into having a business, you really didn't ever get the opportunity to have a proper look at it. And I'll be completely honest, it was a stand back. God, we're not going to sell anything for 6 months, because that's where we all were. We were all sitting there going, right, we need to forecast. Well, we can't really forecast. We need to have a look. Well, we can't really. No, this never happened before, but we can predict that potentially we're going to do 50% less revenue in the next 12 months. It's a fair prediction from where we were in March.
March 2020 was not a good place.
So you have a look at things, and I've got a great lady called Gemma Noonan. I think you're going to be meeting her soon. But
Exceptional lady.
She started with me 6 months before she started, and she helped me with some of my clients that I coach. And at the beginning of the year, before COVID had even got to the situation where we were locking down, which was the week she started with our group, she was asking me about my values, my core values. She was talking to me in the January saying, but these are the things that you believe in. Are these the actions coming out of your business? So my internal core beliefs and values are here, and the external actions of people within the group. And this is not a slight. Everyone's got different beliefs and values. It doesn't make them an arsehole. Just sometimes you've got to decide whether your visions and values are aligned. And if you're not aligned, that's when stress kicks in. And that's when you start to feel that it's less fulfilling. And that's where I got to by the time we got to COVID.
So was the issue you had good values, but they weren't cascading themselves down properly throughout the group?
I think I've always had great intentions. Anyone that's ever worked for me will know that I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to see people right. But the trouble is, in the earlier sort of middle of the business acceleration, if you like, I probably pushed self-development onto people too hard, and I probably tried to help people too much. And I think there was a reason for me doing that, and that was because perhaps I hadn't gone through the process of explaining why that was important from the outset and actually building a business on the things that were important to me. I was trying to build the business on things that I thought might be important to other people.
Were you trying to push the business on at your pace when other people, at the speed of your bus, and everyone else is probably not?
Yeah, and also the way it worked is Giggs & Co kind of went like this. And as you accelerate and grow, there are certain people that don't feel comfortable with that kind of change and the amount of change that go on. And I know I'm probably one of the worst for wanting to move forward at a pace. I mean, that's definitely changed in the last 2 years, because one of the things Gemma said is we've got to get this right if we're going to go and teach other people to do it.
So how have you turned, the values are your North Star, the culture is how it portrays itself on a day-to-day basis. Yes. What exactly did you change to make it work better?
So we looked at what was important, and it's performance. I do love people that are prepared to achieve and to drive and learn. So those things are really, really important to me. And I also want people that are prepared to help others. So trust's a massive part. So trust means you've got to be honest with yourself, and that's how it's a lot easier to be honest with others. So we done like a Zoom session with the whole group at the time and explained to the people that were in the group that we're going to take the company in a clearer direction. And we knew at that point, when we were making teams rather than individuals highlighted. So in other words, instead of having individual commission in the business, we have team commission. In fact, the basic salaries have all gone up and the amount of days in the business have gone down. Why? It's because we want to attract the right people to work in our organisation that match the internal values so we get a better external result.
So did you lose anyone because of
We lost loads of people. We had a real exodus. For about 6 months, we had probably 6 or 7 people leave one of our core teams.
So you told the guys and girls that this is how you want to take the business, and a lot of that was you ramped up their salaries but reduced the commission, and the commission was more of a group or an office based.
Yeah, let me be clear on this, because actually there was so many intricacies around furlough and people being made redundant and so on and so forth. And we really over-communicated throughout the whole process. The thing that we had to communicate was the fact that we weren't really that happy with where we'd got to. Actually, it didn't feel right. And this isn't going across the whole group. This was the core team that I started with nearly 8 years ago.
We've done some videos before, and you grew from a one-office operation on quite a small suburban town in Cambridgeshire, some huge numbers.
Yeah.
But it's just it just didn't feel right.
No, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like I felt frustrated. I felt like we were saying we were this, but we weren't delivering that.
Do you feel that you were almost driving your business on a metric of, say, number or turnover, but in reality, that was not what the value was?
Whilst I like to achieve, and I love turnover, market share, and I love to be number one and all that kind of, it doesn't matter as much as the other stuff. So the other stuff, like having a really happy workforce and a really great environment, definitely mean more because it helps you to deliver on the other variables. So having people that wanted to learn and invest in themselves was really important. Having people that want to be honest with each other and help and support each other was more important than having 5 or 6 guys that were competing with each other to sell the most number of houses.
Well, almost it's not what you earn, it's how you earn it, which was important.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're on a transition. I don't think we'll have commission in the next 2 years in the business. It'll go from where it was, which is probably 50-50 base to commission, to probably now 75-25, where they're paid as a collective, to then perhaps being just full salary, and then they'll get bonuses and rewards based around their particular objectives that they have in their individual roles.
So by the sounds of it, do you think this came about because you were accountable to Gemma, which was, whilst you was an employee, made you accountable, almost like a mentor or someone that you could talk to? Is it?
Yeah, well, she was one of the newest people in, right? And she's extremely good at asking great questions.
Because that's quite rare for someone you employ to challenge their boss.
Well, I brought her in for that reason. I mean, she's coming from a very high up position in another company, left a company for 11 years, HR director, executive coach. She's fully qualified. We'd always used external people to come in and mentor us or to give us advice. This time I wanted somebody in who could really see it and feel it. And what became apparent was that this is what I believed in, and this is what we were becoming.
How did it make you feel that someone who basically you paid their wages was talking to you without that weight or responsibility on their shoulders?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be where I am today with the group structure that we've got if it wasn't for Gemma.
Because if you don't mind me saying, I've known you for 5 years and you seem a lot more relaxed and a lot more whole, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, last 18 months, I've spent probably half my time in the business. Not I mean, working on, but only half the time. I felt my journey started with a lot of success and ego. And success breeds ego. And the ego part of me isn't the reason why I'm successful. The bit that makes me successful is the fact that I fucking care about people, probably too much. And that's probably where I went over the top with some of the people that worked for me, where I really wanted to help them to see things for themselves. But awareness starts from you as an individual. You can hold up a mirror and so on and so forth. But what Gemma did is she came in and she asked me the questions that I said, there's nothing off limits. Nothing off limits. If we're going to go from here to here, what do we need to do? And we learned from other directors who had started businesses with us, who were keeping smaller teams together, who had a really united team. And that made us realise that maybe going to a too big a team with too many salespeople wasn't right for our culture, if that makes sense.
And do you think, because I know you mentor and guide other agents to grow,
yeah.
Do you think from what you have learnt from this has helped you be a better mentor and guide to other agents?
Oh, massively. Well, it's authentic, right? I mean, I've always been authentic, but I think at times you lose your way. And I think when you lose your way, you need to take a step back. And if you lose your way, it's that feeling of not feeling sure about where you're at and what you're doing. And I had those moments, and I think I charged through with following what I felt other people needed. In actually, just for me, just what do I value the most? What are my beliefs? Am I aligning those with my businesses? And if not, why not? What do we need to do and why? And I think from where I am now, whole's the right word. I mean, don't get me wrong, crikey, we've had no end of challenges, haven't we, in the last 2 or 3 years? And that'll be for everybody who's watching this. But when you're in those moments, it's an opportunity to actually look at yourself. And I think this is something that we all need to do on a regular basis, just to make sure that we're keeping ourselves in check. And it's been insightful, enlightening, and it's been difficult, but it's been best for everybody that's been associated with us. Even the people that don't work for us have all gone on to do really well in the other things that they're doing. And that's because they're doing the things that they believe in the environments that they believe they should be in.
Thank you for your time today, Matt.
Thank you.